Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Make It Epic Wedding Podcast. It's your host, Tim and Matt, and wow, we sound like a bloody radio station. But today is a special one. We've got such an epic guest that's coming on today, and it's Kerstyn from Hire a Bridesmaid. Look, Matt and I have been super keen to get Kerstyn on just because she has such a wealth of knowledge and value that she offers all her clients and on her socials. So you've probably heard of her before, or you've actually seen her. She's been around a fair bit on a couple of talk shows. She's been on TV a few times. She's been on radio shows and talk shows, and this just really goes to show, really, the business that she's running is just incredible in what she's doing at Hire a Bridesmaid in helping couples plan their wedding and amongst other things, which we're going to dive into. But we're super keen for this, and let's head on into it.
Well, throw me under the bus, mate. Love that. All right. Well, we are here today. We are so keen to have this conversation with the one and only, the Miss Hire a Bridesmaid legend. And I'll tell you what, Tim, we're going to get some absolute golden nuggets out of today's episode because this lady is a boss.
If you have not heard of her, you probably would have. She's an absolute legend within the industry. We've tried to get Kerstyn on for a while, and it's Kerstyn from Hire a Bridesmaid. How are you?
Hello, friends. Just to be clear, I haven't paid you to say those nice things about me, so thank you.
The money just come into our account just then.
It was magic. Oh, man, I'm so excited for today because I feel like since we started this podcast and I saw you, semi-regularly, and when I saw you last time, you're like, I don't even know if you said hi, you were just like, can I come on the podcast? It was the first thing you pretty much said to me. That's like how excited you were. And I was like, well, if you're at that level of excitement, we better get you on. And it's not just because of your level of excitement, but you have some skills, you have some expertise in the industry, and you've been around for a while. And look, I think me and Tim can both agree, you're absolutely killing it at the million things that you do inside Hire a Bridesmaid as an overall business, because you've got a few different roles that you play, which we will be diving into today for sure, which I'm super excited for. But before we do that, let's get comfortable because I know it's nerve-wracking being on a podcast and all that goodness.
So we're going to put you on the spot. We'll put you on the spot.
100%. We're all about putting you on the spot. So whenever we get a guest on, we always try and do a bit of a quick-fire goodness, and we ask some questions, and we just, try and suss out a little bit more about you and what you do. This is the quick-fire, okay? And I know me and you, and probably Tim too, aren't great at quick-fire, so we're going to try it.
Ready.
All right, perfect. So are you I guess most of the questions are yes or no.
Okay, yes or no answers.
Coffee before 5?
Yes.
After 5? Before 5?
Yes. Yes to both.
Yes to both. Yeah.
I asked the wrong way. I'm dyslexic already.
All right. What about alcohol before 12?
Oh, no, I'm not a big drinker.
Yep. Fair. Pineapple on pizza?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, that was quick. I like that.
We're going to cut it off here.
So Tim's a no.
Tim's a no. I'm a yes. So that's okay. It's 2 against 1. If you were to buy an exotic pet, what would it be?
That's so random. A koala.
Oh, is koala exotic? Sure, cool, native.
To some people.
True.
Why not?
True.
Why not? And what about your favourite TV show?
This is really bad, but I'm currently rewatching Grey's Anatomy.
Oh yeah, I'm up to date with that. Is that bad as a guy? I don't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I sit in front of the computer a lot, and I just kind of put it on. It's the easiest thing to watch, but also so good. It's this is probably a really bad moment to say this. Anyway, if you're out there and you like it, hit us up. Me and we'll have a bit of a chat with you and debrief about.
Perfect. Don't tell me anything. I don't want any spoilers.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think I gave up Grey's Anatomy about 10 years ago, but my wife loves it. But that's all right. Kerstyn, do you want to give us a little bit of info about yourself? Who you are, what do you do?
Yeah, so I am Kerstyn Walsh. I run a business called Hire a Bridesmaid, as you already said. We offer wedding planning, wedding day coordination, professional MC or master of ceremonies, and I am also an authorized marriage celebrant. And the thing that kind of most people don't realize is it's not just a clever name. We do actually hire out bridesmaids as well. It's certainly not one of the biggest things that we do, but it is certainly a thing that got us a lot of media attention over the past kind of 8 years, is because we do actually, when people need it, we can be a bridesmaid for them as well.
That's amazing. There's a few services there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a couple of hats on.
Well, just to be clear, it's not just me. I have an amazing team. I could not do all of that by myself anymore. I did start the business myself, and I did it for like maybe 4 and a bit years by myself. And then it was pretty clear, as you guys know, it's nice to have help, right? And it's good to have people to talk to about the business. So, yeah, I brought on a team, and thank goodness.
Amazing. Well, so where did your journey begin, right? Like you said you're a celebrant, so like...
Yeah, so it started actually with emceeing. So I have actually been emceeing professional events for a really long time, like since I was a teenager. And when I left school, I went to uni for a bit. That wasn't for me. I fell into a career in real estate sales. So I was actually in real estate for nearly 7 years. And I wasn't loving that anymore. I was like, I hate the long hours and I hated working weekends. And so I was like, why not join the wedding industry where I could work even longer hours and continue to work weekends?
That's it.
You said it. You said it well there.
Thank you. It's funny that I always say that to other business owners. It's like, yeah, like I quit working like 9 to 5 for someone else, so I could work like 9 to 9 for myself. So
yeah, I love that. It's like that classic meme that goes around on Instagram lately, and it's like, you know, I left my 9 to 5 job, and now I work 24/7.
It's so true, but I remember when I left my job, full time in the business, you know, work my own hours, lifestyle's going to be like on point, up there, awesome, work-life balance. Amazing.
Yeah.
Couple months in. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But you do it for the love of it.
Totally. That's what, like one of my favorite sayings is if you find something that you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life.
100%.
And I have to say, like these days, I'm 8 years in now. And like I said, I do have a team and I'm really lucky. I don't actually work 24/7 anymore. The team do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff so that I can actually have a day off. I'm not today. Today is Monday, usually my day off, but hi guys, nice to see you.
Sorry, not sorry.
It's definitely been like, it was a hard slog getting to this point, but I'm so glad that I am because it's great. Like I said, I've said it like 14 times, but having a great team that I can just trust, that I know will look after our clients as much as I want to is just, you know, imperative to me and my business.
Yeah, and that's really.
And we've worked with a few of your team, obviously not just you, and it's always good because they're all on like the same page as you, which I guess is good for like not only you to hear, but you know, for like people listening out there that are thinking about maybe, you know, engaging with you and your services down the track. Like it's nice to know that like you know, you've passed on your knowledge and experience to the people that you have working with you, and it is good also to know that like even though you are, you know, like we all are fairly swamped and there's a lot going on at the moment, that it's not just you and there's room for more than like, I guess, just like one couple at a time.
Correct. And thank you. That's really good feedback. It's important to get that kind of feedback. I feel like that's the one thing that, it's hard to get true feedback on yourself. I feel like people are sometimes afraid to say what they really think of you, but certainly with the team, I'm always open with our clients and I say, you know, tell me what we can improve on or tell me what we need to work on. And it's really good, but thank you. I appreciate that. I love the girls. I'm a bit biased. I hired them, so I think they're great, but it's good to hear it from other people as well.
100%, and that's how you continue to keep that industry like, and you're like your level in the industry like rolling as well. Like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, well, if you look at the wedding industry like as a whole, right, like it is pretty cutthroat. If you're not offering like a good service, like you die off quite quickly. And like even like with the team, like it adds complexities. You got to make sure you maintain the quality because it's not just you in the business. But like for you to get to the stage that you are, I think just shows like how well you have grown and expanded your team to actually provide value in an industry that is very quick to judge.
I completely agree. I think it's all about value in the industry. You know, it's not necessarily about, people aren't choosing their main suppliers on price alone anymore. They're not choosing it based on inclusions or location anymore. They're choosing their suppliers based on how much value can you give me or the perceived value. And so, I think it is important that we have a very high standard of customer service. And I think it is really important that that is continued across every aspect of our business, whether that's you and us chatting here now or just walking over to the coffee shop. And so for us, it's really important that when we bring on new team members, they do have a similar, you know, upbeat, positive vibe, because that is so much who we are as a brand. And it does go a long way when it comes to customer service, that on the other end of the phone, you're getting someone who is positive and happy and just as excited about your wedding as you are.
Yeah,
100%. And I feel like when it comes to planning and coordinating and all that goodness, which we're going to talk about soon, like having someone on the day with that smile just makes everything like that little bit easier. Like I know as well, like even for me and Tim, like, when we work with like different vendors, not, specifically for like planning and coordinating, but like in general, like if you walk in and everyone's happy and the vibe is legit, it makes such a difference to the overall feel of the day, which, like at the end of the day, you can do the best job in the world behind the scenes, but on the day, if you're not doing a good job, like it's going to potentially harm, the experience for the couple.
And for the other suppliers, like this is it's good and it's bad, I guess, is that we're going to work with this couple one day, right? But all of the suppliers that you work with, we're going to see them across every other wedding. So, of course, we're going to look after our couple, but we're also going to go out of our way and help our suppliers as well because, our relationship with you guys is just as important as it is with making sure the couple have a great day. And, of course, like things always go wrong at weddings, but if you can try and mitigate that and just look after people along the way, I think that's the best thing you can do as a planner coordinator anyway.
Yeah. Well, like Matt and I, we're very big on like the pre-production. We're very big on like making sure things are very organized prior to. Like I know, like as part of my process, like when a couple books, like I want to get to know them, I want to get to know their story. Like not only does it just like help out when I like create their film and like piece it all together, but allows me to like get to know them. So then like I can actually like best serve them like before the day, even like on the day. Like I use a lot of the information they give me prior to actually on the day because it really changes like how I interact with them, like what the vibe is. And like, as Matt was saying, like having like a good attitude, a good vibe is super important on the day, like especially for a video, right? Like there's no hiding from a video. Like it is so easy to see, like it's moving frames, it's sound. So it's very comforting to know like when you go to a wedding and it just clicks. Like you just get those weddings where it's planned so incredibly well, like the vibes are high, like the vendors are just all on the same page, and by the end of the day, it's just like, wow, that was just amazing.
Those days where you blink and it's like 11 o'clock, you're like, oh my god, it feels like 5 p.m. I can't believe we're at the end of the night. Yeah.
They're the good
But
ones,
I suppose on the other side, like Matt, how about like how many weddings have we gone to, and it's just like this could have been done like so much better, and it doesn't necessarily just come down to budget. Like it could come down to skill of the vendor, the experience of the vendor. It really could be anything. There's a million reasons here, but like it just goes to show like how important it is to make sure like you're putting together a puzzle, right? And like couples are overwhelmed with the process, they're overwhelmed with everything that is happening, and sometimes they do just need some guidance. And I think this is where like your services really come in, because it actually is a little bit different to most. And Matt, how many weddings have you gone to where there has been a planner or coordinator, but it's just perhaps a little bit different to what you would have expected?
Yeah, I reckon like it definitely comes down to the organization, like 100%. And I think this is why, like we got you on, because we want to find out a little bit more as to like, I guess, like what it is that you do and how you get the results that you get. And like, it's not like, like this myth, like this big myth busting around hire a bridesmaid technically, but I feel like, the way that you do things is definitely, like one of the best ways that we've seen it. And there's definitely the organization is there. So we're keen to find out more. So before we dive into the like, inner workings, so to speak, of, what you do, like tell us like a little bit more about like, what is a planner, and then what is the difference between a planner and an on-day coordinator? Let's just start with those two. So what's the difference between a planner and all that? You heard what I said.
Yeah, I got you. I do like coffee before 5 p.m. It's...
Stitch up.
Done. I think that's probably one of the greatest questions you could ask, because it's something that does confuse a lot of people. The biggest difference between a planner and coordinator is when they start their role. So a planner is on from somewhere near the beginning of the wedding planning journey. So whether that's immediately after engagement or a few months in, and the planner helps the couple actually plan the wedding from go to woe. So they might be helping them find suppliers, doing research, taking them dress shopping. Maybe not everybody does that, but making recommendations, putting them in touch with other great suppliers that are within their budget, helping them manage the budget. We also create wedding websites for our clients, and helping them manage RSVPs, and basically just taking all of the oh my God, we have no idea what to do and what comes next, off their plate and taking that away and managing it for them. So that's the planning side of things. Versus an on-the-day coordinator who usually steps in maybe a couple of months before the wedding, and their job is to go over all of the plans for only the day itself and then make sure that everything runs to plan on the day. So a planner and coordinator do sometimes have a crossover in those final months, which is why if you are hiring a wedding planner, it would be good to have them as your on-the-day coordinator as well. Or vice versa. If you're thinking, well, we've got an on-the-day coordinator, I would be contacting them to get you to help with the planning stuff too, just simply for the changeover information. But yeah, that crossover in the couple of months beforehand, where what we do, and probably this could be one of our biggest points of difference, is that we go through a super detailed run sheet and timeline for our clients' wedding day. Like, we start at the beginning of the day. What time are they getting up? What are they eating for breakfast? What time does hair and makeup start? And we go all the way through to the very end of the night, regardless of whether we're still going to be there on the day at that time or not. And who's taking the wish and go home? Who's running? What are we doing with the flowers? Are the guests taking them? Are they going into mum's car? And the point of that is that we take anything and everything that our clients could be possibly thinking about the day, we get it out of their heads, we put it on a bit of paper, and then that bit of paper is then shared with all of the suppliers ahead of the day. So quite literally, we are all on the same page.
I love that. And I feel like that is such a classic hire a bridesmaid. Like, even if it's not your business, but like just in terms of like the bridesmaid aspect, like that's typically, I would say, from seeing a lot of bridesmaids run around like with their heads chopped off a little bit throughout the day and, you know, through the evening, like that is their role, inverted commas, if you're listening, you know, so to speak, typically as of what you think if you're a bridesmaid, like what you would normally do for the bride is like feed her and all of this stuff, you know, like I didn't actually, like, I've never really thought about like that part of like, you know, the morning all the way through to the end. But I love the detail that's there. And I think that's something that, like, maybe going back to what Tim said just before we started talking about what the difference is between a planner and all that. And like my experience is like, that is the difference. Like at the end of the day, if there's not details on a piece of paper, like everyone is kind of semi-guessing to a degree, or just assuming this is what's happening next. So like, you know, that is the difference of like having the more detail, the better, I say, when it comes to like the planning aspect. I have a question. How often do you get asked to go dress shopping with a bride? Because that's pretty cool. I'm all about that. That's
not
cool.
Often enough. I would love to go more frequently. Usually we go with our full planning clients. If they're based in Sydney, a lot of our clients actually live overseas but are getting married in Australia. So we actually work with a lot of couples who would be doing their dress shopping in a different country. But for the ones who are here, if they're going full dress shopping, and let's say that they don't have a lot of bridesmaids available during the week, or they haven't got someone who's going to be a wedding cheerleader, like my biggest bit of advice when you go dress shopping, I don't know if you two have ever been, I'm talking specifically dress shopping for someone who'll be wearing a wedding gown, but it's really important that you have cheerleaders for you there on the day. You don't want someone there who's going to nitpick at everything, or going to make it about themselves, or going to try and talk about their own wedding, or, you know, when I got married, this is what I did and what I did. So I mean, for us, that's, again, as I guess one of those things where we are the wedding cheerleader for our clients and their plans. And if our bride or person who's choosing a dress wants to wear something that I personally wouldn't wear, that's not my job to tell them that. My job is to say, how do you feel? I can see it on your face. You love this. This is the one for you. So no, we don't go dress shopping with our clients enough, and I'd love to go more. So let me know if anyone wants a fake bridesmaid for a day.
That's epic. I love that. That's so cool. How, and I guess going as well, like how often would you, like in a planning aspect, and you know, like we're talking, like how early would you say couples would typically reach out to you? Like, is there a standard kind of like, what does that look like?
Yes and no. The beauty of a planning service is that you don't have to have the full thing. So you don't have to get engaged and immediately call a wedding planner. You can get into your planning and then go, am I allowed to swear? I should have asked that earlier.
You can swear.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Tim's face then was like, no. And I was like, oh.
I saw Tim's face. I ignored
Because I swore, and then before on one of the earlier episodes, and Matt's like, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing that."
Okay.
Because we got to
Tim, the first episode we ever did, Tim's like dropping the F-bombs within the first 5 seconds, and I'm like, "Is this the way we're going?"
Yes, we've chosen our target market.
Explicit.
I am a swearer. I am a swearer in real life, but let's just say Holy crap. Back to what I was saying about wedding plans is that some couples get partway into their wedding plan and they go, gee, wizard, it's getting real tough out here. And that's when they'll contact us. So we actually work with a lot of clients once they've already chosen a date and booked a venue, and they found that process quite stressful. And I must admit, I'm actually getting married myself, and I have never planned my own wedding, so it's been a journey for myself. But even I'm finding the venue planning process quite stressful, just simply because I feel like there is so much that they don't come out with straight away that you kind of have to question out of them. And I'm lucky because I know what to ask, but I realize that for couples, they don't. So we're finding a lot of couples are coming to us sort of, they might have booked their photographer even, and, we've got them locked in, we've got the venue, but we just don't want to do anything else. We're too busy. We're worried we're going to spend a lot of money. Like what we do is help them manage a budget and at least give them an idea of what's possible, because some clients go, oh, I've only got X amount of dollars. And whatever that only amount is, they think is low, but actually it's a lot of money. And so it's us going, oh my God, you can plan a whole wedding and more in that if you want. Like anything is possible. So I think having a wedding planner it doesn't really matter at what stage you get us. If you just want someone that's going to tell you what's possible within your budget and within your scope or whatever your vision is of the day, or even just someone to help you clarify your vision. I know I mentioned this to you guys before, and I know you guys talk about it as well, but knowing what your wedding priorities are from super early on is so important. In fact, I would argue it is step one of wedding planning is to enjoy your engagement. And step two is know what your wedding priorities are, because if you don't know 100%. What they are, you're very quickly going to be down the rabbit hole of holy crap. Gee wizard, I've spent a lot of money on things that actually don't mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? Because it was in one of our first episodes that we did a couple of ways to make your wedding day epic. And one of the first things that we spoke about is get clear on what your negotiables are and your non-negotiables. So you can really get clear on what you value, what's aligned with your value and vision, and what's not. And you can really set those boundaries on where your vision is in line. But it's interesting, right? Just a couple of weeks ago, I had a meeting with a couple, and then their wedding's in about 6 months, and they haven't really planned anything. They live overseas in Dubai, and they're like, oh, we've got the venue, we've got the photographer, we've got the videographer, but we're locking in the celebrant, but the timing is off, and we're not sure what to do. I'm like, okay, this is really red flags here that you need someone to help with that. And Matt and I get into these positions as well where couples do need help with their planning, but sometimes it goes quite in depth that it's not just the timings, it's everything else. And I think that's really where you need to understand a planner would have a lot of value in this instance. So what do you think some maybe not red flags, but what do you think would be some things that you should be aware of and that's maybe you're not doing, but it's actually time to start looking at a planner?
Oh, well, I think if you're 6 months out living in Dubai and only just getting into the planning, now's probably the time to don't stress, just call the wedding planner. But I think if you as a couple, I don't think there's any perfect stage of planning. And I guess it's not just us. All wedding planners offer very small planning packages to help people that just need that last minute, you're doing great, you're killing it, keep going type situation. Or, hey, I see you've done this, we've still got to do these, let's get it sorted. So I don't think there's any perfect stage. In terms of red flags, I think if you are really stressed out, if it's causing arguments, if you're worried financially about, well, we haven't booked these things and we're not sure how we're going to afford them. If you're just feeling that huge sense of overwhelm. And this is one of the hardest things to talk about, I think, is that when you say you're getting married, every man and his dog has an opinion on what your wedding should be and what you should do with your wedding. And it's so funny, as a wedding planner getting engaged myself, people are trying to tell me what I should do. I'm like, oh, you should do this and you should do this and you could do this. I'm like, I think I've got the ideas thing under control. But
so this is an interesting aspect to it, because you're on both sides now. You're planning your own wedding, but you're also the very top dog in the industry for wedding planners. So this is cool.
Are you going to get a planner?
we can recommend someone.
No, I keep joking. We're actually in the process of hiring a new team member, and I keep joking that we're going to make them plan my wedding. It's like a test, but I wouldn't. No, I actually am working as a wedding planner. It is one of the girls on my team, but for me to have the separation between it being my wedding and being my job, I think I needed to kind of outsource that. But the even funnier thing is, and again, I think this is part of the reason why, if I may just have a little humble brag moment, why I am so good at what I do and why I was able to invent like a whole new way of planning weddings, is because I think a lot of people get into the industry after their own weddings or after they've been to a whole bunch of friends' weddings, and they kind of do it based on what they did or what they think they would have done or what they would have done differently. Whereas for me, I came in from a completely external perspective and was able to kind of see across all the different supplier categories, across all the different venues that we worked at, and kind of come up with a way that works kind of like a one-stop shop for everybody, like a one method. And of course, you know, there'll be variations to that, but a one way of planning that suits nearly everybody in every aspect of wedding planning. And I do think the reason I was able to do that is because I haven't ever planned my own wedding, and I've never been one to go, oh, well, this is what I'm doing at my wedding and this is what I would do if it were me. It's never about that. It's about, well, let me look at your situation. Let me look at what your priorities are. Okay, well, these are the options that are available to you, and this is what I think you should do that would suit you best. I kind of got away from the red flag question, but we got there.
No, I feel like everything you're saying is so good. So let's just say typically, if I was a couple that was coming and looking for a planner, let's just say from day one or, you know, early on, whichever stage, what is your, do you have a process that you would go through with them that helps understand what they want and maybe goes through some of those red flags or maybe not the red flags, but you know, I guess just some of the stuff that is really important to them and then not so important, and how do you get into that with them?
Exactly what you said, Matt. We have a conversation with them. So it starts with an initial kind of discovery call. And the point of that is not only for us to see, you know, for them to see if they want to work with us, but it's for us to be able to see, actually, can we help you? And is what we offer going to be of value to you? Because I'm very upfront with people. And if I don't think that we have the service available to help them, I'll tell them and I'll point them in the right direction. It doesn't happen often, but if somebody comes to us and they have, you know, these are the things we're looking for, we can go, yeah, can totally help you. So what we're going to do is start with an initial planning meeting. And that's where we go through and we have a whole bunch of questions. There's a list of them. It never feels like an interrogation though. It's more like a conversation to just try and work out from them, what are their priorities? We have a workbook and things as well, but what are their priorities? What's important to them? What do they want out of the day? You know, when you close your eyes, what do you picture at your ceremony? And some people immediately go, a church. And you go, great. Well, there you go. That narrows down the search. Or some people go, oh, I picture a female marrying us. And you're like, right, well, it's not a priest. You know what I mean? So maybe it isn't a church. Maybe it's a non-denominational church or something like that. So we just ask the right questions and make really detailed notes that allows us to at least help them get the planning started. Particularly if they haven't booked a venue and they want to get married in the next kind of 12 months or so. That's always our first port of call is, all right, well, what do we need to do to find them a place to get married so that we can put all the other pieces in place?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I love it.
Because it is interesting. If you compare, I suppose, an Australian culture to an American culture, American weddings, if we talk about a wedding hierarchy, right? The planner is the top dog. The planner is on the top. If you want to get anywhere, you go straight to the planner. And I feel with American weddings, the sole focus, really on the planner is to provide such a value-based ladder to get to their wedding, because they help out in almost all areas. I think in Australia, we have this culture of, oh yeah, we'll do it ourselves. That'll be fine.
We got this.
She'll be right, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
We can all talk from experience. Yeah, sometimes that may work, and if your personality kind of suits that, and if you have the skills to plan your own wedding, then yeah, go for it.
And the time, yep.
Exactly. But the value in a planner, I think, can be misrepresented sometimes and a little bit misunderstood. And these are the things that we really want to nail to those listening right now, is how valuable a planner can be.
Yeah. I think a common misconception about wedding planners as well is that they're really expensive. And like the first thing people say is, oh no, we can't afford a wedding planner. Well, what does a wedding planner cost? Or we don't know. Well, how do you know you can't afford it? And kind of one of the beauties, I think, and I'm sure I speak for any wedding planner out there, is like, yes, my fee might be X amount of dollars for what you want. But if I can save you 3 times that based on my experience, advice, and knowing what your budget is and helping you stick to that, isn't that kind of worth it? And I think that's kind of where we're underestimated. Back to the America thing, I've actually worked with a few American clients on their American weddings, and I've been over there for American weddings, and they are completely different. And the top dog is like a funny way of saying it, but I became the top dog over there because everybody they all come to you. They actually don't want to talk to the couple. And that all starts with wedding venues. Wedding venues refuse to work directly with couples in the States. You must have a wedding planner or you must have an on-the-day coordination person. And like you said, we don't have that here. I actually think that would be super valuable, not just for venues, but also for all of the other team involved in it. And I'm not just saying that because it's my business and I want more business. Of course I do, but it's not about that. I just know the value to a couple of knowing that whatever they're thinking about their wedding, they can just pick up their phone or send an email and someone else handles it for them. Like, talk about amazing stress-free vibes for your wedding. Like, just chill, enjoy the day. And that's probably the next point from that is that if you do plan your wedding, if you've got the skills, the time, the money, and you know what you're doing, awesome. Like, kudos to you. But you cannot be the person managing on the wedding day. And I really don't think your bridesmaids and groomsmen or wedding party should be doing it, or your family. So if you can at that point engage some sort, you're laughing.
And
True.
That happens all the time. I think what I like at the moment, like there's so many things going to my head, like it literally hurts. But like, but I think like at the moment, like for me, I'm definitely seeing a lot more people gravitating towards planners and especially on-day coordinators. But planning in general, like I would say, even recently, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and when I mean people, I mean like planners reaching out to me on behalf of couples, which is great. I love that.
Oh, awesome.
It's a little bit of a weird world for me as well, because I'm like, how does this work when it comes to like some aspects that I normally would deal with the couple with, but also I think it's great too. The other thing that I just, like my brain is like just ticking over and I'm like, there's so many things I want to say is like, when it comes to the planning aspect, like I feel like forever, for as long as I can remember in Australia, shooting weddings and stuff, it's always been like, oh, go and ask the photographer about your timeline. Go and ask the photographer about the best time to do your ceremony, you know? And like, to be honest, I'm getting sick of being thrown under the bus 24/7, 7 days a week about that. I'm so fine to have the conversation with my couples about it, you know, but there is definitely times where I've had meetings with couples, and like, it's a month before their wedding, they send me back their booking form and their booking form is empty when it comes to the timeline. And they're like, oh, like we were just waiting for today to talk to you about all of that. And I'm like,
I hear that.
Do I send you a bill for this?
Often.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I think, Matt, you and I spoke about this on the phone a couple of weeks ago too, but it does often fall back on the photographer because you guys are the ones that typically are like dependent on daylight. So they just assume that you'll have an idea of timeline. But really, and this is by no offense to you at all, but a photographer's timeline is going to be what actually suits photography best. It is
selfish photographers.
Well, no. Don't start me on photographers. No, it would be the same if you only went off what the venue timeline, what their sample was, or if you just went off what your celebrant said. None of that actually has anything to do with you and your priorities for the day. It has to do with them and what they need, and that's totally okay. Like go to your photographer if you want. Be prepared that I actually know a lot of photographers who are charging an extra fee if you come to them without a timeline and expect them to do it. Just there's a little tidbit for you. But
I'm adding it in.
add it on. Or here's Hira Bridesmaid's number.
Yeah,
but I think having someone that can take all of the suppliers that you're working with, work out what your priorities are. Like if you want to be on the dance floor by 8:30 p.m., the venue isn't going to make that happen. The venue wants to take forever to serve the food, or the caterer, I should say. They want to spread that out because it works better for them. But we know that they only need X amount of time between certain courses because we've worked with them before. Yeah. So if we can make that happen for you and make sure that you get out for sunset time so the photographer gets his shots, and you know he wants a minimum, or he or she wants they want a minimum 1 hour for portrait time, great. We'll make that happen as well. But we'll also get you back in time to have some canapes and mingle with your guests too. And so I think, rely on your photographer if your photographer's okay with that, but also know that there is another option, and that is on the day coordination service, someone that will help you come up with a whole timeline for the day.
Yeah, for sure. And like Matt and I are laughing about this because we do get put into this position, but like, yes, we can give advice on it, but as you said, like it's almost timelines that suit us. So it would be a disservice to the couple. And we're all about making sure a wedding is, like suited to you. It's aligned with your values and your vision. And we want like your wedding to be personalized for you. So for me, I love to ask a bit of questions to get to know who they are and what they do. And, those little traits that just make them them. So like if they love to surf, like what's happening in the morning? Do you guys want to go go for a surf? We'll capture that. But like by us giving advice on certain aspects of like the timeline, it really is a disservice like to the couple, because it's not them. It's like it's our input that's like making these decisions, when what we want is them to be able to like understand that it's their day, and like we want them to make the decisions that are going to be best for them, because at the end of it, like it's their wedding. And
true.
The more I think like the more personalized their wedding is, like the more epic it's going to be. And like that's the whole reason like we started is because we wanted this conversation that like you can make your wedding epic, you can make it like super fun and personalized, but like a little bit of planning and thought needs to be put in place to make sure that it's exactly what you want. And Matt, how many times, like it's happened quite a fair bit where couples, maybe brides especially, maybe stress about certain aspects that it doesn't matter. But what does happen, the result of that is it kills a vibe. Like it kills 100%. Like a moment in time on a day you're not going to get that time back. It's definitely, and it's sad to see.
A part of the for me as well is and maybe it's too late by the time they come to me as well, and ask for my 2 cents about their day, and I'm usually trying to find out questions really fast. The process that you girls do is crazy, and you're spending months doing it, and then all of a sudden they have a 40-minute conversation with me, and we have to do their whole timeline with them. And that's because every other vendor has passed the buck until it hits me. And I typically would try and have a conversation, between 4 to 6 weeks prior to your wedding, but by then it's too late. And really I guess the couple comes to me and they go, oh, they're expecting me to want them to do something because I'm a photographer, and it's none of that. And this is me and Tim have spoken about this, and we're going to probably have our own podcast episode just on this. But I'm just going to bring it up now because I want to, and I'm angry. I'm not angry. That's a lie, but I'm passionate. I'm passionate about this part of it. Is that we all couples out there, and you're probably finding the same thing, I guess. Couples come and apologize to us for the way that they would like to do something. And it shouldn't be an apology-based system. I've literally said to people in the past, recently I've had a bride, she kept saying sorry to me all day. And I called her up and I was like, hey, if you keep saying sorry to me, I'm going to have to headbutt you because I really want you to stop, and I want you to enjoy your day. And don't worry about me, because I'm here to make sure your day is amazing. I'm not here to do it the way that Matt Ashton wants to do it. I'm here to do it the way that you guys want to do it. So if you don't want to do prep, don't bloody do prep. I don't care if I don't capture the prep in the nicest way possible if you don't want to do it. And I just that's my little 2 cents. But I think that if you're coming to me and you're it's 6 weeks before your wedding and you have no clue about a timeline, I'm happy to help you, but it does mean that it's a very rushed process, and it's probably not going to be ideal. So go and talk to Kerstyn.
Yeah, we're going to set an automated email sequence now for when this happens, and it's just going to go straight to Kerstyn.
I might timestamp the blog. We might make a blog, and I'll just send them straight to that and be go and listen to this aspect of this podcast episode between minutes 31 and 33, and we'll get it done.
Perfect.
Yeah, tick that box. Well, I've got a question. Tim's about to say something, but I want to go back a little bit here, because we've spoken all about planning, and we've spoken all about on-day coordination, and I feel another misconception maybe, or another unknown factor in the wedding industry is what's the difference between a planner and then also what's the difference between a stylist and on-day coordinator? They're triple threat, so to speak.
Yes, there are actually lots of differences, but you will find that a lot of planners will be stylists as well, or there'll be stylists and planners, or there'll be floral designers, stylists and planners in whatever order that their actual specialty is.
Yeah.
And
not confusing at all.
Not confusing at all, no. And it's funny that you say this, because I was actually talking to a floral designer stylist friend of mine yesterday, and she has completely stopped planning weddings because on top of all the styling and the florals and the early starts of the markets and things, it was just too much to manage the rest of the planning. But I think there are lots of people that do all three. A floral designer is flowers. Sometimes a floral designer also does candles and small decorations. A stylist is for anything else that isn't flower decorations, or someone that can make the tables and walls and ceilings look fantastic. So they're like the creative visual aspect side of things, whereas a planner is the person who manages the people behind all of the tasks. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Matt, your mic's off.
We've lost you, Matt.
Matt.
I was getting so passionate about that, man. And
I seen the arms going.
I was like, I'm flicking my arms around, I'm having a good time, and then you guys are like, Tim was talking on the top of me. I was like, geez, that's rude of you. Anyway, soz. I was just talking and no one was listening because I had myself on mute. Classic rookie. Anyway, what I was saying was, is the couples like, oh, do you guys offer that like as a stylist like package, or do you just do the planning coordination and then all your other little bits and pieces you do of emceeing and, you know, all that goodness? But as a hire bridesmaid, and like if like one of the girls comes and does the day for you, you know, like do they just do planning on day coordination? And what does the on day coordination cover if you don't do the styling?
Yeah. Good question. We intentionally, I made a decision very early on in the business to only do the people aspect. So I have no desire to have a warehouse full of bits and pieces that people can hire. I know so many great stylists and floral designers that do an amazing job, and that's what they do. That's their specialty. For us, we kind of step in that planning role, like I said before, but more of an on the day coordination aspect. We're the ones that set those things up if our couple decide to dry hire or DIY. So let's say they've gone to a stylist and they've hired a bunch of different items, but they obviously can't set them up on the day. That's where we come in. How do you want it set? Great, we'll make it happen. And we'll work with the floral designer to do so. Same goes with the other way around. Some clients, and please don't do this if you're thinking about it. I'm just going to one bit of advice. Do not do your own wedding flowers unless you're a florist. It's so stressful. But some of our,
I'm sitting here doing the big, no.
There's that red flag.
Red flag.
It's a red flag. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that the people that choose to do it have the skills and the eye for detail, and they really do genuinely believe it's going to save them a lot of money. It doesn't, though. What it costs you in time and stress levels on the day before or the days leading up to and the day of your wedding, it's not worth it. But if they did decide to do that, or if we had a florist client whose parents were doing the flowers or whatever, we then set them up for them. So in terms of what we do on the day, it's pretty much in a nutshell, anything and everything that you, the couple, or your friends and family would do, we take that off your shoulders and we manage it all for you.
So
amazing.
Good. I love it.
There's so much value in this.
Yeah, it's so helpful. As I said, my brain is just ticking over so many times. But I love that, and I guess that you would probably do it early on, is set that expectation. And I think for a lot of when it comes to planning and on day coordination, and I had it at my wedding back in the a couple of years ago as well. Is that I was struggling as a couple, me and my wife, we were struggling to understand what the role was and the expectations of a planner and a stylist and and all the different facets of the day. What is I guess for you guys, how do you set that expectation as to what is something that you and your girls would do versus something that you're not I guess they would expect you to do, but you're not doing? How do you do you do that early on in a sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is so much crossover. It's never a surprise to us when someone asks us, oh, are you able to do X, Y, Z? And if it's not something that we do, there is very little in terms of on the day management that we don't do. Probably one of the biggest ones is like, we're not electricians, so please don't ask us to install 1,700 meters of fairy lights. But in terms of other things, like, anything that you would expect one person or two people to do, we can manage for you. A lot of the time where we get in a bit of a pickle in terms of and this is probably a business perspective, is we set the expectations early on, then time disappears and they come back to us and there's this expectation that we might be doing so much more for them. And it is a tricky distinguishment between, that's not a word, but distinguishing between the planning aspects of things and the on-the-day coordination. If you've only booked an on-the-day coordination package, we can't also then go out and help you find all the suppliers for your wedding. That's just not within our scope. But if you ask us to plan and do the on-the-day coordination, it kind of is included. But I think, it's set, like you said, it's setting expectations early on. All of our clients, and this is another bit of advice for couples out there, doesn't matter who you're booking or what you're booking, there has to be a contract. You have to have something in writing, and you must have payment terms, cancellation terms, everything in writing. In this day and age, particularly after COVID, where all of the suppliers that I know who didn't have contracts lost their marbles and made them, I don't think you should be booking anybody that doesn't have a contract, and I really hope you two have them.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely
What's a contract?
I'm literally...
Of course we have contracts.
I'm literally updating my T's and C's as we speak with a lawyer, which is pretty cool. So, I had a chat with her this morning and she's getting some stuff sorted for me. So, I think that's the thing is, we have to stay up to date with a lot of that stuff too. And it's not only we're not saying that to be dicks about it, we're saying it because it doesn't only protect us, it protects you too. Do you know what I mean? And then 100%. Therefore you have something to fall back on in cases of stitch ups. Let's just leave it.
That's right.
It's
and
not.
That's why I say it just sets the. Sorry, Matt.
No, you go.
It sets the expectation early on.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think in this day and age you shouldn't anyway, but you should not be booking anybody that doesn't have a contract. Because like you said, it protects you guys as well as them.
Yeah.
Or they send you a contract and you've got to print it out, sign it and send it back to them. If no one has online contracts these days, boo.
Oh, dude.
It's
love an e-signature.
It's so
amazing.
Easy.
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot that we've gone through. Where I think we've really covered a lot. There's a lot that we still want to cover. We're going to have to get you back on, Kerstyn, because
100%.
Oh no, what a shame! I would hate that.
Maybe in another Monday on your day off.
Yeah, perfect. Count me in. Why not a Saturday? I'll be at a wedding. I'll talk to you on the go. Done.
Lovely,
maybe.
Lovely.
Oh well, we are working together in a few weeks, so maybe we should just mark ourselves up and we'll do running commentary. How about that?
I would love that.
Proper BTS. I want to touch on something that I think is amazing, and I think it's going to be really helpful for couples because recently you have brought out a new product. Is that what we're calling it? Yeah, product. Let's call it that.
New service?
Service, yes, service, product, all of the above. But it's something that I think is quite fresh and something that's the industry needs because A, it stops throwing us photographers, videographers under the bus. B, it's also when we're talking about budgets and things like that, it does, I guess, help people that are maybe struggling with budgets and things like that because they don't have to spend X amount of money. So tell us what this thing is that you have brought out. It's called the Hire a Bridesmaid method, and I love the name. It's amazing. But tell us what this method is.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about it too, just because I think it opens up having a wedding planner to so many more people. It brings the opportunity for people to have a wedding planner. And it's something I've actually been, in all honesty, been working on for years, but I'm very glad it didn't come out a couple of years ago when I was first ready to launch because I have learned so much more over the past 2 years since that started. But basically the Hire a Bridesmaid method is my way that I invented to plan weddings through trial and error, through real couples' weddings, and still I'm learning new things every single day. But it's a step-by-step process that helps couples plan their wedding from the second they get engaged, through budget management, timeline management, finding suppliers, booking a venue,